You guys, I got 3 super delicious vegan recipes to show you today. They're also gluten-free. They only happen to use 6 ingredients, and all of them take only 20 minutes of time to whip up. It's amazing. So excited. Let's get into it. All right, my little superstars, we're gonna start with recipe numero uno, and that is our lemony tomato beans. Oh yes, we are. It's a 5-ingredient recipe, takes like 15 minutes or less of time to prepare, and the best part is it's like just over 300 calories with 21 grams of protein. Boom, mic drop. Amazing. So let's talk ingredients. 1, we're gonna need some beans. But what beans do we need? I'm using butter beans, also known as lima beans, also known as broad beans. Yes, they are a bean of many names, depending on where you live in the world. I like them because they are very creamy, kind of nutty, very nice mouthfeel, but really you could use any canned bean that you like for this recipe. You're also gonna need a 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes, a lemon, we're using the zest and the juice, some garlic, and nutritional yeast, which in case you didn't know, is packed with protein. All right, we're gonna take this 5-ingredient party over to the stove. Okay, so we're gonna grab a large saucepan, and what we're gonna do, it's basically a dump and go recipe. We're gonna add our 3 cups of butter beans. Now, if you're using canned beans, you don't even have to rinse them. Just dump the whole can in there with the bean juice because it helps to make a nice thick sauce. By the way, get this pan heating up on about medium high. Then we're gonna take our big honkin' 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. We're just gonna pour that in as well. And then we're gonna take this here fine little lemon and we are going to zest all of the skin into the pan. We want all the lemon zest because this is gonna add a really nice brightness, a freshness, some tanginess, a little bit of zippiness. Trust me, don't skip the lemon in this dish. It just makes everything taste so fresh. Is there anything better smelling in this world than fresh lemon zest? I think not. Then we're just gonna cut that lemon in half and we're going to add the juice of the whole lemon. We're gonna add a teaspoon of kosher salt and give everything a good mixy. I'm gonna also add in a teaspoon of oregano. Now, you don't have to use oregano, you don't have to use any seasonings, but if you want, use whatever you like. Herbs are fantastic and oregano tastes really good in this dish. Righto, so we're just gonna let the beans in the tomato sauce come up to like a little rapid simmer, just until they're nice and steamy and bubbly. We're gonna let the sauce reduce slightly, so pretty much let it get freaky on the stove for about 10, 12-ish minutes. While that is all happening, we're going to prepare our garlic and nutritional yeast. Now, what I mean by that is we're pretty much just going to roughly chop our garlic, toss it in a bullet blender, add a little bit of water or veggie broth, about half a cup should be good, and our 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast. And we're just pretty much going to blitz all that together until it's this rich, nutty, cheesy, garlicky sauce. And then once the beans on the stove have reduced a bit in their tomato sauce, we're just going to stir it in. I like to do this because it adds this really nice punch of garlicky flavor right at the end that otherwise kind of gets lost when you saute your garlic in the beginning, as we do with a lot of dishes, which is totally fine. But sometimes for kind of, I don't want to say plain or boring dishes, which this is not, but for simple dishes, this hack really helps to elevate the flavors to be just so much better than it would have been if you had sauteed the garlic up a little earlier. We're just gonna let this delicious nonsense thicken up for another couple minutes and she's ready to serve. My serving suggestions for these lemony tomato beans: eat it on its own, scoop it up with a crusty piece of sourdough toast. You could serve it over rice, quinoa, or even over a bed of spinach. Heck, while you're making this, you could even stir in a few hefty handfuls of spinach into the sauce and let it wilt into the sauce. Great way to use up aging spinach. Smells like I died and went to heaven. Come on. Counter slapping good, you guys. 5 ingredients, 15 minutes. Cancel your dinner plans and make this instead. We're moving right along to our next recipe. That is a 6-ingredient tikka masala. If you guys have never had tikka masala before, you were in for a treat. I absolutely love Indian food, and this is a recipe that takes like 15-20-ish minutes tops, and it's basically a very richly spiced, creamy tomato sauce that you simmer on the stove for not that long, and then you add whatever protein that you like. We're gonna be doing tofu today, but you can always use chickpeas or tempeh or soy curls. The veggie prep is minimal, so let's get right into doing that. We've just got some garlic to mince, onion to chop up, and a little bit of fresh ginger to grate up. Isn't that great? So once the ginger, garlic, and onion are prepared, we're just going to hop on over to our stove, get a large frying pan, skillet heating up. You can also get your oil or water heating up. I'm going to make this recipe oil-free for myself, so I'm just going to use 1/4 cup of water. Heat that up over medium-high heat until it starts to bubble and steam. Then you can go ahead and add in your chopped onion. Let that sizzle away for about 3-ish minutes, just until it's nice and soft and looks something like this. Lovely, softened, smelling good. Now you can go ahead, add in the ginger and the garlic. Stir that in. We're just gonna let that cook with the onions for like 1 minute. Next, we're gonna add in our spices here. This is just a nice little blend I have. It's by Flavor Bombs, and this one is technically a tandoori spice blend, but they sent this blend for me to try out, and it actually has many of the same spices you would find in a tikka masala spice blend, so I am just gonna use this today, and it smells so good. Can't wait to see how this turns out. I'm also just gonna add like 1/2 teaspoon of garam masala, because that is also commonly found in tikka masala. We're also gonna add in a teaspoon of some kosher salt. Give it all a good stir. Just let the spices kind of dry toast in the pan with the veggies here. By the way, I will absolutely leave a list of the spices that you can use if you are not using a spice blend like the one I have here today. But if you do want to try out Flavor Bombs, I have a fun little promo code for you to save like 10% off your order with them. So give them a go. Now we're gonna add in our liquid ingredients for our sauce. So we've just got 2 cups of tomato sauce. And we're gonna add 1 can of full fat coconut milk. Give that all a nice little stir. Now we're just gonna let this come up to a nice little simmer and let it just cook for about 10 minutes until the sauce turns into this nice deep golden orangey red color. Ooh, sexy. Every day I'm bubbling. Okay, y'all, now it is the time where we add in our protein, as I aforementioned. Now, I air fried up some tofu not too long ago. Very simple recipe if you want to see how I like to make my tofu in the air fryer on the regular. You can watch this video up here. So I'm just gonna add in my tofu. I've turned my sauce simmer down to like low, and we're just gonna throw all of our tofu in, fold it all in. The smells that I'm smelling right now are absolutely divine. I smell like I'm in my favorite Indian restaurant right now. We are liking what we see. Then you can just serve it up on some rice or quinoa, and I sort of dropped the ball on the herb garnish game. I wish I had some cilantro, but alas, I have settled for green onion, which honestly is fine. Totally delicious. I am eager to try this. Yep. I would like you to make this, okay? Can you do me a kindness? Please make this. How have we arrived at our 3rd and final recipe? This video is just flying by. What is going on? Okay, I'm gonna tell you what's going on. We're gonna make some Korean rice balls, also known as Jumeokbap. They are these, well, rice balls. They're very self-explanatory, but there's so much more than that. Basically, this makes for a really nice, quick grab-and-go lunch or a good filling snack. Or, you know, you could add this to a more filling kind of component meal, add a side salad, add some extra protein on the side. But these are great, and I figured I had to show you how to make them because there's only a few ingredients in them. So let's get into these rice balls. So for this recipe, you're gonna need day-old cooked white rice. The reason why you want it to be day-old cooked cold fried rice is because As it sits in your fridge overnight, it has a chance to kind of become drier. There's less moisture in it so that it doesn't stick together so much, or rather it's not mushy. We don't want mushy, but we do want good texture. We're also going to be using some sesame oil. Toasted sesame oil is ideal. It has a nicer flavor in my opinion. We're going to be using these little roasted seaweed sheets, aka nori. They're salty, they're savory, they're delicious. We're going to crunch them up into a nice little crumble. You need some green onions and you need some rice vinegar. The only prep we gotta do for this recipe is to chop up some green onions. That's literally it. I wish I had more to give you. Next, just grab yourself a large mixing bowl, and you're gonna need about 2.5-ish cups of rice. We're just gonna add that directly into our large mixing bowl. Then we're gonna take our rice vinegar, we're just gonna add 1 tablespoon of that, 1/2 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil. Then we're just gonna take a spatula and we're gonna give it all a really good mix. The oil's gonna help to kind of break apart the rice a little bit so it's easier to mix in our last 2 ingredients. Otherwise, it would just kind of all stick together in one big rice clump. Then we're gonna get our little package of these roasted seaweed sheets, which, by the way, I absolutely love snacking on. They're so good. This is a full stack. We're gonna take about 1/2 of those, and we're just going to crumble them up with our hands into the bowl of the rice. This is gonna add kind of like a fishy, oceany, seafood-ish flavor. And it's gonna be really good. Kind of like sushi. Now we're just gonna add in all of our green onions and give everything a really good mix. You could get in there with your hands or you could just use your spatula, whatever you want. Okay, now we're getting into my favorite part. It's the fun part of this recipe. Now we're gonna actually roll out this rice into some little balls. So what you're gonna need is a small square of plastic wrap, about yay big, probably about, I don't know, 1 foot by 1 foot-ish. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take about 1/3 cup portion of the rice, and then you're just gonna squeeze, kind of fold it into a little ball. And we're gonna squeeze it really tight until it's nice and firm and kind of packed down. I like to pack it down into kind of like a little disc first. Then what I do is kind of forming the rice patty into the palm of my hand. I kind of press into the center of it with my fingers on the other side, on my other hand, and I press in to form like a little, almost like I'm making a little rice bowl, little cave in the center. Now I happen to have some leftover TVP bacon bits from a previous recipe that I made earlier in the week. If you guys want to see this recipe, you can check out my video right up here for my bacon cheeseburger casserole where I featured it recently. Otherwise, you can stuff it with pretty much anything you might have left over in your fridge. Think something like tofu scramble, or chickpea tuna mash, or mashed edamame, pretty much anything you want that's kind of meaty, savory, and it would be really great inside of a rice ball. Now you do not have to stuff it, but if you did, it would make it a little bit more filling, but you do you, boo. I'm gonna show you how I'm doing it with some meat-like stuffing. And then we just add about 2-ish tablespoons worth of this meaty mixture into the center. Press it down with the back of a spoon, et voila! Now back over to the rice. We're just gonna take, again, about another 1/3 of a cup of the rice mixture, kind of squeeze it on top. It's okay if you get a little messy. Then, again, we're just going to roll up that entire ball of rice back into the plastic wrap, kind of twist it on top. Then again, you squeeze it in your hands, just for like 10 seconds, till it looks kind of like this. The TVP's on the inside. Then you can unveil your ball. It'll look something like this. Pretty snazzy, huh? Now, you could go ahead and eat it right now, but personally, I find that you should either chill it in the fridge or you should air fry it, which is what I'm gonna do. I personally love air frying it because then the outer layer of the rice gets all nice and crisp and crunchy while the inside remains soft and chewy, and it's just so much better in my opinion. And basically, just repeat until you run out of rice and whatever filling you're using. Okay, into the air fryer at 400 Fahrenheit for like 20 minutes until they come out looking something like this. Y'all, do you see what I see? This smells like hot sushi. That may not be the best descriptive words for it, but this is just incredible. perfect, quick, easy lunch. You could eat 2 of these and you'd be full. Also, they're great cold. If you air fry them, you could still refrigerate them afterwards, put them in your kid's lunch. It makes me so happy. If you like this video, give it a like, subscribe. I do plant-based, vegan, high-protein, gluten-free recipes all the time. Don't want you to miss out. Let's be friends. I love you, and I'll see you in another video real soon. Bye-bye.